Hi, everyone, and welcome back to True Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Jenna. Today, I am so excited. I have the amazing opportunity to talk with somebody who's actually local for me, but once again, have never met in person, but we have a lot of mutual friends and mutual connections. So today I get the opportunity to talk with Bridgette Smith, now married. I'm sure it's still weird to
It
hear
is so weird.
Bridgette has been a soccer star all her life. She played for UNC, go Tar Heels. She played for UNC and then played pro and now has tied up her cleats and she is an incredible realtor here in Maryland. So without further ado, Bridgette, welcome to the True Crew and the True Talk podcast.
Thanks, Jen. I'm excited. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's awesome what you're doing, just reaching out to the local community and whatnot. So it's great. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Bridgette, for those who don't know you, can you give us a little background about your athletic soccer life to now being a realtor? Like, how did those two go hand in hand?
It's honestly so crazy. So, I started playing soccer when I was four, maybe even younger, just kicking around something.
Yeah.
But I had siblings that played soccer. I played a bunch of sports growing up, though. I was, lacrosse. I played football with my boy neighbors growing up. I played, obviously, soccer, softball, basketball. I played everything in the LTRC rec league, just, growing up and whatnot. So, as I was younger, I constantly was around sports all the time. So it was just something that just came natural to me. And when I was 9, 10, I decided to kind of, I'm pretty good at soccer, so let me focus a little bit more on that.
Don't be so humble. You are a soccer beast, okay?
But at that age, you're just having fun. I was still playing basketball and softball throughout all the seasons, with soccer. But I started playing club. I went LTRC and then started playing club when I was about 10 with a club here in Baltimore. And then it was still played all the sports growing up until freshman year of high school. That's when I had to make a decision. Okay, I'm just going to focus on soccer. And before that, just to rewind a little bit, I got invited when I was how old was I? I was 12 to my first US camp with the youth team. So I was young, traveling around the country by myself. I was such a daddy's girl that my dad would come to the airport with me and he would get a pass to be able to walk me to my gate.
Aww,
Because I
love that.
I know, it was so cute. But I was such a daddy's girl, so he would just walk me to my gate and put me on a plane. I'd be going to California to the Olympic Center all the time just for camps growing up through.
Cool.
It's so bizarre thinking about it. I feel like when I'm actually remembering everything, I'm just like, how the heck? I felt like it was just so normal. I did it so much. I would travel all the time to California because that's one of the big spots was the Olympic Center. That's where we always went. And we were surrounded by a bunch of Olympians during lunchtime and all of it. So it was a super cool environment to be in when I was super young. But yeah, so I went to US camps all through, middle school, I guess. I missed my middle school graduation, missed a bunch of middle school dances and everything because of me being gone. Basically, I was gone for a whole week. 7 days was a US camp. So I had to basically do work while I was gone. I went to McDonough from pre-first to graduation. So my teachers were all super awesome with the whole thing. But yeah, I traveled all around the country all the way to high school and then went into high school at McDonough, made the varsity team freshman year. And then I was a 3-time All-American. I got Gatorade Player of the Year my junior year. So it's just been a whirlwind for sure, just looking back at everything. And then I verbally committed my sophomore year to UNC. It was kind of between UVA and UNC, but I ended up going with UNC and then was there for 3.5 years, graduated early so I could get into the pro draft is in January. So I have to graduate early. And yeah, and then I played pro. I got drafted to Texas. So it's pretty far. My whole family is from the Lutherville area. So I have 3 siblings with a lot of nieces and nephews. And at that time, my sister was having her first baby at 36. And then we're super close. She was like another mom to me. So the whole situation was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Texas. This is crazy. I'm going to be gone from my family. I got drafted to Texas. I played in Houston and then played there for just under a couple years, about a year and a half. And then I just decided to get out of soccer. That was one of the hardest things that I had to go through, was me realizing that my passion in soccer wasn't there anymore. And I kind of just, made the decision to move back to Baltimore with my whole family. And I was super happy with the decision because
Yeah.
I hate being away from my family. It's really hard for me. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, incredible the amount of accolades you have, like, girl.
I kind of forgot even about them until you asked. I mean, like looking back, it's just, it's just crazy. It's all just a blur almost from being
Right,
young. But now,
right.
like remembering everything, it's just, wow, that's just a
Yeah,
crazy, crazy
yeah.
thing.
And you're amazed at yourself. You're like, oh, I did all of that. That was me. Like, that's so cool. Good, like, pound the back.
So crazy.
So cool. And now you are also an online fitness coach, correct?
Yeah, so basically after pro soccer, it was kind of like in the transition of, in my head, I knew I was basically retiring from soccer. My teammates had no idea except just my one roommate and then a captain of the Houston Dash, because I talked to her because her and Rachel Daly lived above me at my apartment complex. So I talked to them about it and got their advice and everything. So during that time, I knew that I was retiring. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do when I get home?
Right.
So that's when I was looking into real estate, and it just kind of, I look back at it and I think it was something that like God was working in that moment, because I brought God into my whole decision of retiring from soccer. I was friends from social media from like a local pastor that
Hmm.
I talked with a lot about my decision. And my roommate just happened to be like a very, very strong believer. So I talked to her a lot about it, and I knew it was the right decision for me at the end of the day. So I can look back knowing that one of the biggest decisions I had to make, I had God there through those steps. So it made it easier than it would have been if I didn't have him with me through that.
Right.
But anyway, so I look back and I'm like, I don't even know how I thought about real estate. I don't even really remember. It's just kind of a crazy thing. It just kind of happened. So I'm like, God wanted me to do it, because I don't
Yeah.
even know how it just got into my head.
Yeah, it's
So
one of
right when
those
I,
like light bulb things. I
yeah,
spoke about it in one of my episodes. I'm like, I was just trying to think of what I was going to do next after leaving my job in general construction, general contracting, and it just came to me of doing social media management, photography. Why not? And I'm like, okay, I couldn't be happier. So I
yeah.
totally understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I just call those like God thoughts. Like God wanted me to think that. So anyways, I got home, and basically just because of my go-go-go-ness, my personality, just being a professional athlete and playing
Yeah.
sports my whole life, I got home and basically right away started studying for my real estate exam. I think I got home, I want to say in April maybe. And then basically that summertime, we have a place, my family has a place in Ocean City, Maryland. So I went there for the whole summer and just kind of just took a breather. But during that whole time, I was like, okay, I'm going to start studying for my real estate exam.
Yeah.
And then so I got into real estate, and I helped my sister a lot with her soccer company that she has here in Lutherville throughout a little bit of the fall. And then I was like, okay, I was briefly studying over everything in the summertime, starting in the fall time. Now I'm going to go out and take my test and whatnot. So I took my test, got my license. I think it was like October. It's a little bit like after the fall, a little bit when everything was starting to slow down, helping my sister with her soccer company. And then I am now in real estate for over 2 years now. It's a crazy thing. And then, like you said, online fitness kind of was just something that I literally love the gym. And
It's
even at,
become a huge passion of mine too. So for the listeners and viewers out there, do not worry. I will be putting Bridgette's Instagram handle in the show notes in the description. You guys have to go follow her. Literally, it's from her profile that I get my workouts in. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for the
of
shout out.
course.
But yeah, so I mean, I had a fitness Instagram all throughout. I had one in high school actually. I always say like I created a fitness Instagram before like everyone was like creating fitness stuff
I
and
Do
everything.
you believe that I actually remember that because I would follow it and I'm like, God, how does she do this? Like I twigged in high school.
Yeah, it's so funny. So, I mean, even in high school, I got a trainer at a local gym here in Baltimore. I think I was a junior when I started training with him, and he would like record me doing the workouts and everything. And I created a fitness Instagram. It's a different one. It's like it's still up actually. And then I always had a passion, even in college at UNC. I mean, freaking playing at UNC, it's just crazy. So
Yeah.
I would literally go after practice and go to the gym and record my workouts. I was like so obsessed with the gym that like my teammates were like, okay, do you like the gym better than you like soccer?
A little bit. Is that a problem? I mean,
But it's just funny because I mean, obviously I love soccer, but I also loved the gym.
yeah.
I mean, even looking back at my workouts when I was like recording myself in college, I laugh at it just because I'm like, dang, I was even being like a UNC athlete. I look back sometimes at my workouts, like, what the heck was I doing? What the heck is my form? But
Right,
now,
right, right.
yeah, it's so crazy. It's fun to look at actually. But now fast forwarding to, now I think I was a year into real estate and I ended up I not stopped using my fitness Instagram and started merging everything into my personal Instagram because it was a social media coach that was like, you just need to put everything on one platform because that's best for your social media or whatever. So I put everything into one platform. So when you look at my Instagram, you're going to see like fitness, family, faith, my, me and my husband and, real estate, obviously, all in one.
Yes.
So anyways, after a year of real estate, I was like, I get so many DMs of people asking me about workouts, about questions about this and this and this. So let me just go into the online fitness world. So I kind of went into that and I created an app that I have programs for clients. I will say it's something that I don't post. I post a lot of my workouts, but I don't actively post like my online fitness business because my full thing is real estate, but I do that for people that come to me and are like, hey, I want to be your client. Then I for sure have time. But if I was constantly posting about it and had 30 clients a month, it would just be too much with real estate.
Right,
So
right.
I love having these girls that come to me and just say, hey, like I would love to be your client. And I'll post every once in a while if I'm like looking for additional clients and whatnot. But I kind of like to keep it small. So I have these really personal relationships. And
That's
even
awesome.
now, one of my clients followed me all through UNC. She played at a small D1 college in, I think it was California, I think, possibly. But anyway, so she like followed me throughout my whole college career and everything. And she followed me on Instagram and I didn't even know she followed me. I didn't even see it. And she reached out. I was like, hey, I would love to be your client. Like we're friends. She's about to finish up her program with me this week, actually, which is crazy. It's a
That's
3-month
so cool.
program. Yeah. So it's crazy. So I love doing that as well. And then I have another little handful of clients I train in soccer too, because doing everything, my mind would blow up. So
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So, I mean, I know we touched into it a little bit with you explaining how you've kept up with fitness and stuff even after retiring from being a player with soccer. But what, like, for me, for example, strength training and growing stronger was one of the key elements that helped me with my tremors and my symptoms. And even just mentally and emotionally, being in the gym, that's my therapy session. That is where I can just escape and I feel so much better coming out of it. So for you, with all that you have going on, what does fitness and just even moving your body do for you physically, not only physically but mentally and emotionally too?
I mean, it's something that I can't live without. I mean,
Amen.
and that sounds so dramatic for people that just don't understand like the life of taking care of yourself. But I mean, I'll give you a quick example. My best friend, she was struggling with a lot of she had depression. I won't say her name or anything, but she had depression and everything. And I tried to get her to come to the gym. She was a swimmer, but she was never like a big athlete growing up. And this was when she was in Baltimore. She actually moved to Florida, but I finally happened to just bump into her at Crunch when I was going to Crunch in Timonium. And
That's where I
I
go.
yeah. I used to go there. Now I'm at One Life, but I bumped into her and we talk like every day. And I was like, how the heck? I hopefully I don't say her name. I'm like, how the heck did you not tell me you're coming to the gym? And so then I had her start coming to the gym with me and just kind of going through all my workouts with her.
Yeah.
And just basically just naturally, helping her with her form. And it's natural for me. I can remember weight really easily. Like, okay, you're probably going to do this weight and this is how many sets you're going to do, reps. Like I remember things very easily. So helping her, it changed her life. She overcame it. She's the happiest she's ever been. The craziest thing is, and I still cannot believe this, she is now a fitness trainer at a gym in Florida. And this was from when she
How
literally,
freaking cool.
yeah, it's really the coolest story because she was dealing with a lot. She started going to the gym knowing nothing about working out and
Yeah.
lifting, and now she is a trainer at the gym, and it's transformed her life. And that's how she's now met her boyfriend, who is a manager at the gym, and they're like the happiest
Oh my
ever. So
gosh.
it's just my biggest thing with that is that, like, I swear to you, if you just start going to the gym a couple of times a week and you don't go to the gym ever, um, just know that your life's going to be transformed. You're going to start getting obsessed with it, and it's the
Yeah.
best thing to see with my fitness clients. You know, they it depends on what kind of program they want. Some of them want 4 times a week, some want 5 times a week, depending on their work schedule.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I mean, seeing their life transform after a month in the program, they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I don't know what I would do without the gym. Like I feel so healthy. Like I don't even want to eat like super unhealthy because I literally feel gross when I do.
Right?
I don't have the energy, and it's like just having that one moment where you're like, I'm going to decide to go to the gym. And if you really don't know what you're doing, reach out to someone that can help you. And I promise that's going to affect so many different parts of your life, your nutrition. It's going to affect your relationships, your joy with life, your job, going in healthy
Yeah.
into your workplace and everything. I mean, it makes a massive difference. So, I mean,
Yeah.
highly recommend going to the gym.
I couldn't agree more. There's been times where I won't be able to go for like 2 or 3 days, and I all of a sudden start getting super anxious and like feeling burnt out from everything else going on in life. And I'm like, what's changed? What am I missing? What happened? And then it clicks, and I'm like, oh, I haven't been to the gym. And this is something, so like, I definitely started taking the gym more seriously probably in the past like year and a half or so, right? And I feel like, a lot of girls, especially that, like college age, 20, 21, they want to go work out and stuff, but they might feel some sort of way if people are judging them or looking at them, because you and I both know like how nasty some girls can be, and like growing up what that was like, and the judgment and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I might just be a bitch or like stubborn to where I don't care what other people have to say. I'm gonna do what I enjoy. But like, what kind of advice would you have to people that are wanting to get into it and, make the gym and working out and even weight training part of their new regimen, but they're timid or hesitant to even go in the weight area, the free weight area where it's mostly guys, and they don't want to do it in front of them?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is I know that there are so many girls that struggle with this. They'll
Yeah.
basically go into the gym, just stick with a cardio machine, maybe
Yeah.
bring a couple, a weight in the couple dumbbells in the corner and do their workouts. Let me just say, when I go to the gym, yes, there's women there, of course. There's a lot of men there, but to
Yes.
be like one of the, you know, handful of women there working your butt off, like people respect that. They
Yeah.
don't care. They don't care what you're doing. They
Free.
just
It's so true though. It is, because like, and I'm sorry I cut you off, but like, I feel like it boosted I mean, I've always been a pretty confident person, but like, it boosted my confidence, and I definitely can tell from like the other employees in there and stuff. I've gained a lot of their respect because you go in there and you're putting forth that work.
yeah, 100%. So I just feel like I think it's our own mindset that's stopping us, and it could be, internal excuses of us swerving from the gym as well. But I think just taking a bold step and just getting into the gym, and I just like you keep saying this, and I think it's so important, but weightlifting is what's going to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many health studies, suggesting and that says that weightlifting is what really helps you with these certain things in your life. Yes, cardio helps, but weightlifting is where it's at. So I think that's something that's really important. And that's why don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you out. Reach out, even if you want, or even if your local gym, wherever you're at, to just get a trainer to help you out, just to figure out what you need to do. And what kind of workouts you need to do. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with, because trust me, if you're a girl going into the gym, working your butt off, like I said just a couple seconds ago, people are going to respect you, and people are going to, love your work ethic, and they're going to respect you, not just, your work ethic in the gym, but they're like, okay, that's like a person I want to be around. Like the
Right.
people at the gym that work their butt off and they're working out, or even if they're whatever they're doing, them just being there, that environment makes me want to make friends with these people, because
Yes.
they're on the same level as I'm at. They're on the same growth chart as I am. And we're all like there to grow together. And I will say, like, the people that I see, like, just to be completely straightforward, the people I see that I can tell because I'm a gym junkie, I can tell that are newer at the gym. Those people, like, I respect the most, because I
Yes.
know that they're out of their comfort zone and
Yes.
they showed up and they made it. And those people, I'm like, in my head, trust me, like the girls that should have this mindset need to have it just in their heads, need to be like, girl, you're killing it. And I'm making more of a bolder approach to go up to those girls and say, oh my gosh, like, I love your outfit, or like, girl, you're killing it, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And just making people around people, like, to all the gym junkies out there, like, make the people that you can tell that are a little bit newer, like, just say, girl, you're killing it, like, keep killing it. Like,
Yes.
just a little comment like that can change someone's trajectory at the gym for sure.
Yes, I see it and I've honestly felt it. So, like, when I've had people, whether it be men or women, they're like, don't mess with her. Like, she means business. And all I'm doing is, like, bicep curling like 10 pounds. But at least, that they see me in there every day and they see that I'm putting forth that effort and they see me improving day by day, upping my weights. And, the gym, I am so, so incredibly grateful for. I agree with you. And I think you and I need to do a workout together, mic'd up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we so should.
That would be so funny.
That would be awesome. Okay, we're definitely doing that.
We're definitely doing that. Got penciled that in. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little deep here.
Okay.
We're gonna get a little serious, okay?
Okay. I'm such a smiley person that I have to
So
like
am
get in the
I
zone.
know. So we've got to reel it in. No, but it's all good stuff. So for the listeners and viewers who haven't checked out Bridgette's Instagram yet, but you will because I'm putting it in the description. She talks a lot about her faith, and that is something I really commend her for and look up to her, because it's something just so heartwarming to see that, there's young girls out there who aren't scared to be open and honest about their faith and about following Christianity and, going to Bible study. And I think that especially with everything that's going on in the world that's happened, through COVID and all that kind of stuff, a lot of people have started to turn more towards their beliefs and their faith and turning towards God. But I'll explain why I'm going to ask this question, but I want to ask you, was there ever a time that you lost your faith or like drifted away
Oh
from
yeah.
it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that people need to realize that everyone struggles with that. Even like the strongest believers are going through a time in their life where they're questioning, or they're like, oh, I haven't, read my Bible in forever. Everyone goes through that roller coaster. And that's like the beautiful thing about it, is because it's a relationship with Jesus. It's our choice to have a relationship with him. And that's the beautiful thing about it. We're not forced to have a relationship with him. We choose that every day. And so of course our flesh is going to, have a roller coaster ride of things. But for me, like, I've never been through something really, dark or anything personally. I mean, I'm grateful to share with that, but I know so many sisters of mine and God, they've gone through so much, and there's definitely times in my life where I've definitely been astray with it. I mean, through high school, I grew up in a household of, Christianity and everything, going to church every Sunday and whatnot. But I mean, in high school, I was definitely finding more of my worth in boys and whatnot. And I would say that was like mostly my struggle.
Yeah.
My worth was a lot in boys in high school. I mean, you being a teenage girl and whatnot, it's just, times are crazy. So definitely my faith was, lacking during that time. And I always found myself like going, finding God in these little moments and whatnot throughout high school and especially throughout college and everything. So I felt like it was just something that I went through these times where I would be astray and whatnot, and I was always found at the end of the day. God was always there looking back at everything. I had this great testimony that I can share with a lot of other women that can completely relate to it and that know that they're not alone, that they also struggled with the same things I struggled with growing up. And I can help like that younger generation. But the biggest thing is your worth is in God. It's not in anyone else. And this relates to everything. Like when you go into the gym, who cares who's judging you? Who cares whatever if you're in a new work environment, who cares who's judging you? Because at the end of the day, the only person that matters is for me is Jesus and what he thinks of me, not what anyone else thinks of me. So living by that has like transformed my life. And I think it's definitely made me be more of a bold person and finding my true self in the truth of the word of the Bible of who God says I am. So I think that's just brought on a whole new Bridgette. And
Yeah.
I know that everyone has their own stories, but you were meant to go through whatever you were meant to, as hard as it was and as crazy. And you ask God, why did I go through that? You were meant to go through that so you can share that story. So thousands of other women can relate to it and you can bring closer to God because you went through that or you went through the struggle they're struggling with. So you can bring those people closer to God because we're meant to literally be on this earth to share his word and to be disciples and to bring people closer to God. So we have to go through something that people can relate to. So, I mean, I could go on and on about my faith. So
No, I mean, it really is just so inspiring for my listeners and viewers. I've spoken about it before, but throughout my journey, there have been some really dark times. And there was, because of so much unknown with what it was that I was battling and dealing with, and we didn't know what it was and what the future was going to look like, and all of that, there was a point in time where I started to doubt him. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, what is this that you're putting me through? And then, I think I really kind of hit rock bottom where I was listening to the guy down below and he was like, yeah, you're worthless. Your life's not going to be anything. And I almost attempted suicide twice. And it was my faith, it was God and my guardian angels that pulled me out of that, and that really honestly truly saved me. So from that moment forward, and even before, I would pray. Obviously I would pray to God, and I would just pray. I'm Greek Orthodox, so we have saints, so I would pray to the saints and I would just ask for help with healing, ask for strength and stuff. But another person who actually really helped me was Joel Osteen.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Joel Osteen. Loved listening to his sermons and, his podcast. I would listen to it every single day. And it was always exactly what I needed to hear. It was always exactly what I needed to hear. And every single day, I just wake up and I thank God that he had me go through what I went through. Because like you said, he knows what he's doing. He wanted me to go through that so that I could find my passion and what I'm meant to do right now and where I am right now. I wouldn't have gotten here without everything beforehand.
Oh, yes, totally agree.
I mean, just so incredible. So how do you keep your faith so strong?
I mean, we live in a world where there are so many distractions.
Distractions, temptations, all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. There's so many distractions, so many temptations. So I think people get it wrong when they say being a Christian is easy, because it's not. It's actually when people judge you more because you're supposed to live this life that's perfect.
Right.
I mean, when Jesus came on earth, he was the only perfect person, and people hated him still.
Right.
So, I mean, if people, like, we should have no question that people are going to have a certain thing about us as Christians throughout our life and judge us even more with our walk, because we're not perfect. It's
Yeah.
just, and I relate it to this. When you go to the gym and you see all these different body shapes and whatnot, are you going to judge that person that's maybe a little bit overweight and that's starting out their fitness journey? It's just the same thing in the Christian world. It's literally people that are struggling hard, that have a lot of stuff going on, and they're trying to get closer to God and getting their faith stronger. Why would you judge them versus someone that's been in their faith for 10 years? It's just kind of that we have no reason to judge people and where they're at. I just think it's important at the end of the day that we make sure that we stay focused, we keep our eyes fixed on God through any situations. And I will say this one thing, and it's super important: whenever you go through something hard or you're going through something challenging, you don't know why it's happening, know that God is working the hardest in that moment for
Yes.
something really, really good to come after that. And that's something that you need to focus on. Okay, I'm going through this hard situation right now because I know God is molding me for something so great. So
Yeah.
during those hard times is actually when we get closer to God, because we're like, why is this happening? If we always had this perfect life, this happy life, we would never have to rely on Jesus. And it's our times that are the toughest is when our faith grows. And
Yeah.
that's the most important time to make sure that your faith is there, that you know that you're going to get through it. God is walking with you through every single step, and God has something great for you after it.
Yes. Preach. Amen. He is so, so good. He is so amazing. And I try to say that on my channels all the time, even when I was going through everything, I cannot say enough that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Whether you think so or not, God is literally right next to you, and He is holding your hand through the whole thing. He would not give you something or have you go through something that He didn't think you were capable of handling and of getting through. And that was something that really, I learned throughout all of this.
Oh, yes, 100, definitely.
Yeah. So I love that. And I love that we got to get that out, because honestly, I feel a little bit better talking about it. So thank you.
Yeah, you should. You definitely need to, be bold, and just any moment you can get to talk about your faith, definitely take the step and share it, because there's a lot of people that struggle and just don't understand or don't know. So it's good that you had me talk about it on your podcast. So I'm grateful.
I love it. Thank you. Okay. So you mentioned it earlier that it was one of the hardest decisions to make. What made it such a difficult decision to stop playing? I mean, other than the most obvious, that soccer was your whole life. Like, were you prepared for that, or did the passion just kind of like dwindle away over time? How did you come to the decisions to tie up the cleats?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really tough one. I think when I got drafted, like I said, to Texas, and right then and there, I mean, it's actually in Baltimore, as crazy as that is. The draft is in Baltimore, in the city, at the convention center. Yeah, so my family was there, my friends were there. So, I mean, as this is live, like when you get drafted, it's live. Like I'm literally hearing this just as the time you're hearing this. So when they called my name saying, the Houston Dash is selecting Bridgette, I'm soaking that in, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Texas. It was such a weird feeling, because obviously I was very happy and grateful. So I want to say that first, but I'm like such a homebody. Like my whole family is from Baltimore. Right. So that was something I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to, literally a month from now leave and go to Texas. I mean, my whole life is going to Texas for basically 9 months.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I even was kind of freaking out. And then I had to go on stage and say a speech. And I was still kind of like, oh my gosh, like it just kind of blacked out for a second. Yeah. So, I mean, being in Texas, I think there was, with the pro life, I think my passion just kind of dwindled. I loved soccer at UNC. I mean, I wish I could go back and have that experience happen all over again, because I loved UNC. The culture was amazing. The girls were amazing. Pro-life is just it's a different territory for sure. Like I said, I keep saying I was far from family, so that made it tough. I mean, it was a mix of a couple other things, and it just kind of made me lose my passion on it. Once I decided to kind of put the cleats up, I basically actually already packed my car. I had my Jeep outside of my apartment building. I had my car packed before I even told my coach I was leaving.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I literally had my car packed. I already made the decision, like, I'm retiring from soccer. I had my whole car packed. I mean, I had a two-door Jeep, so I had to pack my whole life in this two-door Jeep and drive 22 hours home. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bizarre story looking back on it, but I knew that decision was so right because I made that decision before I even told my coach, hey, like, I'm done, I'm retiring.
Right.
So I had my car packed and he literally drove my packed car to practice the next morning. And I told my coach that night, like, asked him if we could talk over the phone really quick the night before. And I basically talked to him and he said, okay, you know, I didn't tell him. I said, you know, let's set up a time in the morning to chat. I think it might have actually just been over text. We need to talk kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh,
And
God.
everyone's like, we need to talk.
That text gets you like shaking.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so I went to practice the next day. I didn't have, you know, I didn't change my practice gear that was waiting for me in the locker room. And I went to my coach's office and, you know, he kind of was probably expecting me to ask for a trade, or I don't think he was really expecting me to retire at all.
Really?
Basically went to his office. I told him I broke down because obviously it's a really hard, you
Yeah.
know, I'm literally like putting my cleats up. That
Yeah.
I mean, soccer, I mean, looking back, like soccer 100% was an idol for me.
Yeah.
It was something, it was the only focus, I was focused on it, the only thing I was focused on my whole life.
Yeah.
So when I made the decision, it was, you know, like everything was, you know, soccer, what else am I going to do now? And I think a lot of girls still struggle with that are in that lifestyle. They're like, well, if I don't play soccer, what am I going to do? You know, so I'm just going to keep playing soccer. So I think a lot of women struggle with that, honestly, but I won't go into that. So yeah, I went to his office, told him like, hey, I'm retiring. He was shocked, but he gave me a hug. We got up and I mean, it was like a 15-20 minute conversation. I just told him like, you know, my passion's not there anymore. I want to be home with my family. My sister, like I mentioned this really like in the beginning of the podcast, my sister was about to have her first baby. She's 13 years older than me. So she was 36 having her first baby. I remember hugging her before I went off to Texas for my second season, like just literally the saddest ever. Like I didn't want to go back to Texas. I wanted to be home with my family through that. So yeah, I mean, I told my coach, then I went into the locker room. We always had like a pre-practice meeting going over some film and stuff. And I was literally in my like chill clothes, not in my practice gear, went in front of everyone. The only people that knew were my roommate and the two captains. And because I asked for advice about how to go through the whole thing, went out in front of the whole team and just said, hey guys, everyone's like, what's happening? Like they didn't know what was happening. And I said, hey everyone, just wanted to let you know I'm going to be leaving Texas. I'm retiring from soccer. I have my car packed. I'm headed out. And actually, I don't think I told them I had my car packed because I actually left that day. I left right away. But anyways, and they were just all like shocked and just couldn't believe it. I got hugs from everyone. And then, yeah, my car was already packed, like I said, and I left that day. And it was a crazy thing. I mean, I always get the question of like, well, what if you got drafted to DC? Would you still be playing? I don't know. Would I? I always say like,
it's always that what if that can get people in trouble with trying to think like, you know, like going back to the whole faith conversation, it's essentially like you're questioning God's plan for you and his movement throughout. So, you know, you weren't, just like you've said, you weren't alone in making that choice. And you have to get to a point where it's all right. Like, I trust you and we're doing this. I put my whole trust in you and you can't question it after.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the biggest thing I say is like, I brought God into that decision. So it makes me look back and be like, it makes me way more confident on my decision.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, if God wanted me to get drafted to DC, I would have been drafted to DC. It would have happened, you know, but I look back and I know God did everything for a reason. During COVID, when everything got shut down, I was playing pro. That's how I met my now husband. I had him fly fly, I just randomly started FaceTiming him after we like swiped on each other on a dating app like 8 months
Aw.
prior. 8 months later, we like just started just randomly FaceTiming. I don't even know how. I think we just like randomly started to text again because we
I
weren't doing
think I
anything.
saw this on your TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
honestly a
yeah.
bizarre story. So basically, I mean, I
So
met my husband from that. I told him to fly out and come see me. He stayed at my apartment for a week because we were locked down.
yeah.
And after that, he asked me to be his girlfriend after a week. And then 2 years later, we got engaged. And now, we just got married in December. And I've always, you can ask all my UNC teammates, who would be married first on the soccer team? Everyone thought me. And who would have kids first? Me. Like, it's just a thing. I've always wanted to be a young mom. And I look back
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, if I would have played soccer, I would have played soccer till like 35. And then, like, that's not what I wanted for my life.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be married and live and grow up with my nieces and nephews. I don't want to miss all their birthdays and weddings and stuff I have to
Yeah.
sacrifice. And I just look back at everything and like everything happened for a reason.
Absolutely.
And that's the beautiful thing about it, is that everything you go through is like your testimony. It's something that you'll be able to share and people can relate. Like, make that decision that's hard for you, but you know that it's right at the end of the day, because if you didn't, like, you won't be able to succeed in God's plan that he has for you because you're saying no to him. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Amen. So going along with all of that, and my listeners and viewers have heard me say it before, I really truly think I am living as my authentic self. I'm living my truth. I am where I am supposed to be. Would you say that you are living as your authentic self? And if you do, when did you realize that you were?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I kind of view like my truth, like this is my truth. This is, who I am. Like, that's all. Like, I look at my truth as this is God's truth. Like, everything I do is for him, and that's who I am. So that's my truth is in his word. So that's how I kind of view my truth, saying. And I think that I found, my truth, my relationship with God, like through all the decisions I had to make through my career, my lifetime. And I think that, being in a marriage that's Christ-centered is something that's so beautiful. And I mean, even me and my husband, we waited 2 years before we did the thing, before the night we got married was a very special night. And we made that decision when we were struggling a little bit in the beginning, and it was the most beautiful thing. So I think that I found my truth through all the situations that led me back to God, and my truth is in what his word says about me. And I think that's literally the most beautiful thing that could happen. I give all glory to God for where I am today, for my husband, for my career, for the future kiddos coming along, for my family. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
That's amazing. I love it. Bridgette, it has been such an honor to talk to you. I know you were an inspiration to me over the years. I'm sure that you have inspired so many other girls and will continue to. But I have one last question that is your initiation into the True Crew.
Oh, cool. Okay, what's up?
Okay, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I would transport.
You and my last guest, Theone, both said
Oh, really?
Yeah, like transport. There was no question
Oh,
about
yeah. I didn't even know that was the question you were going to ask me, but right away I'm like, transport. I want to go to Ocean City right now. I want to go back to where me and my husband got married. Like, it would be so
fingers and
easy.
be back by dinner.
Exactly. Like, like I have to go, I'm going to go to the beach. Oh, and I have a showing in a couple hours. Okay, transport back to my showing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
Wait, what's yours? You have to tell me yours.
What's mine? No one's asked me. See, now you caught me. What's mine? I mean, like, I would want different ones for different reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my go-to always, and like the first one that always comes to my mind, is to fly.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Like, I just think it would be the most freeing experience. One, and two, it would just be so fun and easy to get places. Like,
You have to worry about traffic.
yeah, I mean, I gotta watch the birds in the sky, but like, that's the most traffic.
That's awesome.
I'm so happy you asked me. Nobody's asked me that. But thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It was an absolute honor and it was so much fun getting to talk to you. Guys, I will be putting Bridgette's Instagram handle in the show notes in the description. So make sure you go give her a follow. Check out her page on Instagram. Follow her. I'll put her TikTok too. And just follow and you will feel as inspired and motivated as I feel when I see her post. So it's really
You're so
just
sweet.
awesome. And look out for our mic'd up workout that we're going to schedule and release because that
True.
would be so fun.
Oh, that's happening. Not even a question.
Yeah. Great. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in and make sure you stay tuned for all that's coming up with True Talk Podcast.